I must talk to you about the bins.
Must you?
I must. You know how I feel about the bins. I just think, if I may have a moment to just be like really like deep about bins, don't you think it's amazing? Collective sanitation.
Yeah.
What an unbelievably amazing thing that we did. We all got together as a society and we decided, let's just clean this up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, before, you just threw your shit on the street.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Absolutely horrible.
And, that wasn't that long ago. Anyway, I just think society's great.
Also, we live in London, so there are still people doing that. I'm not sure anyone who lives in a major city doesn't at some point in the day go, what on earth is the backstory to you just dumping a full soup on the floor and leaving it? Why did you think that was an acceptable thing to do in a public street?
It's really weird. So I was listening to, because I sometimes listen to bin-based content. It's a big part of my background. I've always wondered if it's like a particularly British thing to have an obsession with the bins. I don't know. I actually don't know if that's the case.
I think everybody's pretty obsessed with their bins.
Anyway, this has gone a bit too far. But I was listening to a podcast about the bins and about how British people uniquely are a bit obstinate about bins. In other parts of the world, people are happy to have 7 bins and recycle. But there seems to be something about the British who are, I'm not having extra bins. You can't stop me. I'm going to put everything in one bag. That's it. That's my right as a Brit.
Most of us have between 2 and 3 bins. Basically, most of us now have a bin that's a bin, then we have a recycling bin, and then we have like a food waste bin.
I've got a bin for batteries, bruv.
You've got a bin for batteries?
Yeah, well, it's just a bag that I leave on top of the bin. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a service that council offers.
This is really boring. This is so boring. I have to take my batteries to Sainsbury's and dispose of them in a special batteries bin in a Sainsbury's.
Yeah, I know. But look, look what the state could do for you. It could help you. Anyway, the reason we're talking about the bins is that Bristol is bidding to become the first council in England to move to a 4-week black bin collection cycle. So that means they're not talking about the recycling bin, the green bin, that will be collected more. But the black bin, which is the stuff that tends to go to landfill or be incinerated, is meant to be full of stuff that you can't recycle, but in reality often is full of stuff you can recycle. So that will be picked up every 4 weeks. It's caused a massive fuss in Bristol. And Labour are taking advantage. It's been Labour who are behind a petition to get this policy overturned. It's still in consultation stage anyway. It's been national news. It's been an interesting thing to see progressives online who, the Greens picked up a lot of progressive support.
Massively, yeah.
Hugely, especially under the under 40s. It's been interesting to see those people online being like, oh, please, no, stop it. This is not the hill to die on, Greens, please. It's been really fascinating to see. So I think this is probably a big test for them. What are you? You 4-week, 2-week bin? What sort of bin guy are you?
But obviously my instinct is we should collect the bins as often as possible. That's obviously my initial instinct. But as like the number of things you use in your house becomes more recyclable, as kind of plastic waste becomes recyclable. I know that there are question marks about what actually happens with that plastic recycling. But as that sort of stuff starts to happen, you would think, oh yeah, the amount of stuff you put in your bin should decrease. So in theory, it shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, I mean, I think what people are finding frustrating is that the Greens have a point when they say that we don't recycle enough and are putting too much stuff in that black bin bag. And if you're forced to kind of know you have limited space, it might push you to recycle a little bit more. A number of the recycling rates in Bristol have been flatlining, even though Bristol's very famously very good at recycling. So like they're giving this ecological argument, but the reality is that they need to save money. Like every council in Britain that has come out of 14 years of Conservative rule, there's no effing money. And so it will save them £2 million. So I think there's this sort of frustration of being like, just be honest. Like, you need to do this for cost cutting, but there's a lot of posturing being like, no, this is a great idea. This is objectively a great idea for the planet. I think people find that annoying.
Here's my question, right? Nappies. So what happens with nappies? Because if those start to build up over the course of a month, that's not great. Listen, I know that children's feces is not as disgusting as adult feces, and I only know this because my nephew took a dump on my hand earlier this year, right? But like, so I'm,
that's quite sweet
as a non-parent, you can sometimes not be aware of
his buttocks uncovered.
I was
in
carrying
your
him, and he just decided to unload. Like, what can you do? He's 14 months old. Respect to the general, but like 4 weeks of nappies building up would be gross, right?
I mean, yeah, definitely, and I think there are questions to be answered about if this does go ahead, what will happen? Will there be specialist nappy collections, for example? Because you're right, there is just stuff, human shit, that needs special treatment and needs more regular treatment. Look, I think it's a really difficult position for progressives when they come in to power, because they obviously make promises about like, we're going to be the anti-austerity candidates, or we're going to roll back some of the cuts. But fundamentally, if from Westminster there is not money going to those councils, and there's just going to be more cuts coming down the line. We've talked about this before in our previous episode about councils. And so like, I do understand that the Greens are in this really, really difficult position. There is a part of me that is fascinated with this, because obviously Labour want to win Bristol back. It's been a seat for them for a long time. And it's just amazing that this battle will just distill to be about the bins. I think this is a conversation we should keep an eye on, because there's national interest in it just generally because of the conversation around bins. But also I think this speaks to something that Labour will be trying to take advantage of, while also not accepting that they do the same thing.
So where do you stand on 4-week versus 2-week collection?
I'm very pro collection. I would like more collection.
Yeah.
I would like bins taken regularly, and I'd like my refuse workers to be paid handsomely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's my take on it. Yeah.